Hi there everyone, Jack here again at the Vinyl Voyage. Today I would like to chat about one of my favourite music collectives. Now I love a really good music scene where you get a group of musicians in the same time or space, all drawn from each other's creative energy, pushing each other, supporting each other, maybe drawing inspiration from the same places or sharing a similar ethos or ideology in terms of recording their music. But it can be really, really powerful. There's been some great ones through history. Case in point, the modern Australian psychedelic scene, where you have big hitters like Tame Impala and King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, but then lots of other bands start to bleed through as well. You have bands like Banana Gun, the Murlocs, Tropical Fuckstorm, Psychedelic Porn Crumpets, Pond, just goes on and on and on. And you find that these artists start to bleed into one another's projects. They create splinter projects, and the whole scene just grows from there. Now, the scene that I would like to speak about today is one of my favourites. It's from the 1990s, again in the US, and it's from Athens, Georgia, and it is, of course, the Elephant Six Collective. So, this will not be an exhaustive history of the Elephant Six Collective. Instead, it's just going to really be a look at some of my favourite albums and favourite bands from that musical scene. If you want an exhaustive history, you can check out this documentary, which I watched the other night on Vimeo. It's absolutely fantastic. Or read the book, which I'll hopefully be getting soon, called Endless Endless. But a very brief rundown. The collective was started by four teenage friends from Ruston, Louisiana. It was Bill Doss, William Cullen Hart, Jeff Mangum, and Rob Schneider, and they bonded over a shared love of psychedelic music. They were really into mucking about on four-track recorders, making lo-fi tapes, but with ambitions to make this big, grand psychedelic sound. They knew that, for instance, Tomorrow Never Knows was recorded on a four-track recorder, and they felt that if the Beatles could do it, there was no reason why they couldn't as well. So with their collection of friends, their wider circle, they went about doing that. They were really inspired by the works of Brian Eno, of Yoko Ono, of the Beach Boys. So Bill Doss, especially, and Rob Schneider were more interested in melody, whereas William Cullen Hart was maybe more interested in experimentalism. But all that combined just to create this absolutely fantastic, fantastic sound. The four friends eventually, three of them went to Athens, Georgia, and Rob Schneider went to Denver, Colorado, and started his recording studio there, Pet Sounds Recording Studio. The other three friends, along with a whole load of other people from Ruston, Louisiana, started this big movement in Athens, Georgia, where they all moved into houses, shared like one bedroom apartments, worked dead end jobs, and started forming all these different bands. And yeah, this is what came out of it. So I'll go through the albums chronologically, and at the end I'll give you my top three. But the first band that I'm going to show, this is from 1995. They were native to Athens, Georgia, unlike the majority of the other bands who moved there, but it was Elf Power. So this is their album from 95, Vainly Clutching at Phantom Limbs. It was put out on Drug Racer Records. Now this is essentially a collection of their early four-track recordings. It isn't really representative of their later sound. This is more a kind of alt-rock indie sound, but there is signposts to what they would become. There's some interesting instruments on here with the main guy, Andrew Rigger, plays flute. There's some cello on here as well. He also plays organ. You can see all this hand-drawn artwork, which was very representative of all the Elephant Six collective. They did most of their own artwork, and the same on their handwritten or hand-typed inners, which were all really cool as well. But yeah, this is interesting. There's an interesting cover of Surgery by Robin Hitchcock, which gives a kind of little insight into their influences. There's also a cover version of Drugstore by the Dwarfs, punk band. So it's a little bit heavier than the kind of maybe some of the poppier psychedelia that was to come. That last song, Arachnid Dungeon Attack, is quite experimental. Again, gives you an impression of how the band or how the bands in the movement would develop. There's the label. But yeah, Elf Power would become one of the key bands in the Elephant Six collective. Next then we've got an album from one of the collective's biggest hitters. This is Olivia Tremor Control with their 1996 debut album, music from the unrealised film script, Dusk at Cubist Castle. This is like a kind of neo-psychedelic masterpiece. It's really, really good. The two principal guys then at Olivia Tremor Control were Bill Doss, who kind of brought the pop smarts, the Beach Boys style harmonies, and then you also had William Cullen Hart, who was a bit more of a experimentalist. Both the two main guys did all the artwork as well. I think this artwork's by William Cullen Hart. But yeah, essentially an album that's split into two parts. First part is just this absolutely amazing Beach Boys inspired neo psychedelic power pop, indie pop collection of fantastic songs. And then the second part is all these kind of music concrete drone experiments. So you have the Opera House is absolutely fantastic. Jumping Fences is a beauty as well. Really, really good stuff. But then towards the end, you've got this Green Typewriter suite of songs from track 12 to 21, where you kind of get into experimental territory. And it's really, really good. It's really, really interesting listen. I'll just show you some of the one of the labels. Said they do all their own artwork. Yeah, it's one of my favourites. It says here that they were backed by the Elephant Six Collective Orchestra. So basically, that is all their friends. That's Jeff Mangum from Neutral Milk Hotel, Rob Schneider from the Apples in Stereo backed them, and this other guy, Julian Costa, who was like a multi instrumentalist from Ruston, Louisiana as well. And they play just all these kind of weird and wonderful instruments, basically anything they can get their hands on. It's another one of these cool little inners. It says here, the Elephant Six Orchestra featuring Rob Schneider, who played the Tibetan prayer bowl, bass, vocals, melodica. Mangum played the chanter pipe, slide guitar, space bubbles, melodica. Julian Costa bowed electric guitar, mallet, struck acoustic guitar, and the singing saw. That singing saw seemed to be a big feature in a lot of their music. But yes, absolutely brilliant. You can see here on this inner, the logo. And this little bit here is quite interesting. So this bit here is the Black Swan Network. So that was a spin-off band from Neutral Milk Hotel that was basically their more experimental side. So this here says, tell us your dreams, send a cassette, taped details describing your favourite, most interesting dreams, real or otherwise, for a future project. Please include your name if you want to be included in the list of participants. And the Black Swan Network became like a splinter group of Olivia Tremor Control, where they released their debut album, was a collection of, I think, 6 songs that were kind of experimental pieces, fragments of people who had sent in their cassettes with their dreams kind of broken down with ambient sounds in the background. So that was one of the spin-off bands. But yeah, this is a psychedelic modern classic, Dusk at Cubist Castle by Olivia Tremor Control. Next then, from 1997, we have the second album from the absolutely amazing Apples in Stereo. This is called Tone Soul Evolution, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's a big sunshine mix of power pop, psychedelic pop, and indie pop. These amazing Beach Boys style harmonies, really infectious melodies. Bass lines just bounce all over the place. It's really, really good. Apples in Stereo were led by main man Rob Schneider, who was the guy who moved to Denver, Colorado, and put together his own recording studio, Pet Sounds Recording Studio. And a lot of people kind of saw him as the linchpin of the Elephant Six Collective, the kind of glue that held them all together. He produced the majority of the records and he played in a number of the bands. Really upbeat, positive guy. He was really, really into 4-track recording and the possibilities of 4-track recording. But above everything else, his main kind of ethos was authenticity. He kind of shunned the slick production techniques of later years. He kind of said that from 1966 to 1968 was the peak years for authenticity in recording. And he said even by 69, for him, production was becoming too slick. But yeah, this is an absolute masterpiece, I think. I really, really like it. And there's a lot of albums from the Elephant Six Collective that get more kudos than this. I think this is one of their underrated classics. Really, really good stuff. Check it out. Especially track one, Seems So. Give Seems So a listen and you'll just be hooked. Try to Remember's really good as well. It's got a very Big Star vibe to it, but yeah, great album. Next then, the album that broke the Elephant Six Collective into the mainstream. It was In the Aeroplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel. This was their second album, released in 1997, and it really was their magnum opus. Jeff Mangum, the main guy, just created this absolutely amazing psychedelic folk rock masterpiece that's so clever, it's so strange, it's so quirky, it's full of exotic instruments, great artwork, brilliant players. Some of the instruments on here though, Jeff Mangum himself plays organ, floor tom, bowed, fuzz bass, shortwave radio and tapes. You've got Scott Spillane playing trumpet, flugelhorn, trombone and euphonium. A multi-instrumentalist, Julian Costa, is on here playing Wandering Genie, the singing saw, the accordion, white noise and the bowed banjo. Robert Schneider appears on here. He produced the album and arranged a lot of it. It was recorded in his Pet Sounds studio. He plays home organ, air organ, fuzz bass, harmony vocal, and the one-note piano. One of the things with the Animal Collective, they like to play broken instruments. They would take instruments, maybe a one-string banjo, and see what kind of sounds that they could get from it. But Laura Carter, the zanzithophone, Rick Benjamin, the trombone, Marissa Bassinger, the saxophone, and the flugelhorn, and Michelle Anderson, ukulele pipes. But yeah, what a masterpiece this is. There's a great story of when the album was recorded, they thought it was the early demos. Jeff Mangum went back from Denver to Athens, Georgia, and in Athens, Georgia, a lot of the Elephant Six Collective would meet at each other's houses and have these big communal meals to try and save on the cost of food because a lot of them were living off of minimum wage, doing part-time jobs. And Jeff Mangum went back to one of these events and they would inevitably play each other their demos or their records and everyone would have a listen. And when Jeff Mangum played what he thought was the demos for In the Aeroplane Over the Sea at one of these meetups, he said, "Oh, this is the early version of it. I'm going to get William Cullen Hart of Olivia Tremor Control to do a lot of different embellishments. I'm going to get him to do all these little electronic embellishments to improve the album." And everybody who heard it were aghast. They said, you can't touch it anymore. It's a masterpiece. Leave it as it is." And they were 100% right because it's so heartfelt and it's such a brilliant album just the way it is. But yeah, highly recommend it if you've not heard it. I heard it for the first time in Cyprus when I was living out there, and it kind of became the soundtrack to my Cyprus. I was there for 5 years, and I just, at least for 3 of those years, I just listened to this constantly. Took a couple of listens to get into, but as much as it is experimental, like I said, it's accessible as well. And yeah, it's just a fantastic album that rewards repeated listening. So yeah, give it a go. Neutral Milk Hotel and the Aeroplane Over the Sea. So after the monumental success of In the Aeroplane Over the Sea, there was an explosion of bands across the US who operated under the moniker Elephant Six Collective. They used the logo when they put out albums, and they kind of operated under that same DIY aesthetic. However, the next band I'm going to show from 1998 were one of the original bands, though they were a lo-fi band. This is the Gerbils with their album Are You Sleepy? You can see that Elephant Six logo there. But yeah, this is a cool album. It's kind of wears its influences on its sleeve. You can hear elements of the Beatles. You've got those Beach Boys harmonies. You can hear some Zombies in here. They were led by main man Scott Spillane, so he was the horn player, the flugelhorn player for Neutral Milk Hotel. This is a little bit more basic. There we go, the Gerbils. It says here, musicians Scott Spillane, vocals, guitar, bass, John Diazzo, vocal, guitar, bass, piano. Again, I would imagine that this was recorded at Rob Schneider's studio. That first song on there, Sunshine Soul, that kind of sounds to me like a kind of demented Sally Cinnamon by the Stone Roses. But yeah, it's good. It's kind of upbeat. It's got Slightly creepy lyrics at times. You get some gerbil cash with the album. Not sure what else is in there. What's this? Hello, you're a great person with undeniable good taste. Thanks for your support. The gerbils, Are You Sleepy? A download code as well. Yeah, great stuff. Check it out. The gerbils, Are You Sleepy? One of the things I really like about the Elephant Six Collective was how they all managed to go their separate ways into various different bands and side projects, and all still remain friends. When they did have differences musically, they just went and formed another side project and pushed out a side project, and inevitably old band members would join them and help them out. And they kind of say in the documentary that they never ever fell out. It was always one big happy family. They didn't go down the old cliched road of musical differences and falling out and hating each other and all that kind of thing. So when Olivia Tremor Control broke up and were no more, Bill Doss went and formed the Sunshine Fix, and William Cullen Hart formed Circulatory System. So this is Circulatory System's debut from 2001. Again, you can see the Elephant Six logo at the top, and this is just amazing. I love this. William Cullen Hart, I believe, does all the artwork. He has Jeff Mangum from Neutral Milk Hotel helping him on this one. The artwork's really cool. It does look like similar style to Dusk at Cubist Castle, but this is really poppy, upbeat, mega catchy psychedelia or neo-psychedelia with a kind of Revolver era Beatles influence, as well as the zombies as well. But yeah, that opening track, Yesterday's World, is just so catchy. Absolutely fantastic. Joy is a beautiful song as well. The Lovely Universe. Yeah, it's just so good. So good, this. It's a lovely package, this. Not sure what we get in terms of inners. Yeah, it's a 2-disc set. Let me just show you. What does it say in the inner? Some more artwork. This is absolutely brilliant. Circulatory System by Circulatory System. To finish then, an album from 2004. It's the fantastically titled Satanic Panic in the Attic by Kevin Barnes's Of Montreal. Great album. Check out that artwork. I think this was Kevin Barnes's brother that did this. I love Of Montreal. All their artwork's fantastic. Their albums are brilliant. I've got a number of them, but this is still my favourite one. It's just really catchy, upbeat, neo-psychedelia with little funky flashes. It's quite danceable. Probably sounds the most modern, I think, of all of the Elephant Six type stuff. But the bass lines as well, they're brilliant. They're really groovy, and yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff. Disconnect the Dots, the opening track on here, is really great. Cool artwork. And the inside as well with the track listing. There is a few different players on here, but Kevin Barnes is a bit of a genius. He just generally plays everything himself. He's a bit of a shapeshifter now as well. He seems to be able to just try his hand at any type of music, whether it be more folky music or like modern folk or electronica, songs that are more dancey, funky. Some of them are just more standard rock or indie fare. But yeah, Kevin Barnes, absolute genius. Check it out. Of Montreal, you can't go wrong with them. So before I wrap up then, quickly my top 3 Elephant Six albums in ranked order. So at number 3 is the Apples in Stereo with the absolutely amazing Tone Soul Evolution. So upbeat, so catchy. You won't be disappointed. If you like the Beach Boys and the Beatles, this is just brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Number 2, the big hitter of the genre, or the collective, is Neutral Milk Hotels and the Aeroplane Over the Sea. Most people know this album. Absolutely fantastic. For good reason. It's well known, it's brilliant. But my favourite one is Circulatory System's self-titled debut. Absolutely brilliant. William Cullen Hart's masterpiece, I think. I like this better than Olivia Tremor Control. Really, really good neo-psychedelia. So that's my top three. At its peak then, the Elephant Six Collective boasted around 50 bands who operated under the banner of the label. However, in 2012, founding member Bill Doss was sadly found dead in his house at the age of 43 of a brain aneurysm. And since then, the label has really been on an extended hiatus. There's a lot of the bands are still going and they play live. However, they don't put out records under the Elephant Six banner. Now, the thing that I really loved though of the whole scene was just how authentic they were and how much integrity they had in terms of their vision and what they wanted to achieve. I loved the fact that they all played in one another's bands, they all supported one another, and everything was for the good of the music rather than, trying to make money or trying to one up one another. It was a very supportive network, and it was all about putting out the best music that they could, which I think is really, really admirable. And there's a great story from Julian Costa, the multi-instrumentalist from Neutral Milk Hotel. He was actually one of the first to go out on a kind of major tour from Ruston, Louisiana with his first band called Chocolate USA. And when they were recording their debut album in a professional studio, he wanted one of the tracks to have a percussive backing from a basketball being bounced. And the recording engineer said, no, 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 you can't do that. You can't use a basketball to provide the percussion. And he said, why not? It's my music. And that was the whole ethos behind the Elephant Six Collective. They wanted to put out the music that they wanted to put out, and they weren't ready to compromise to record companies or to audiences. It was purely their vision, and yeah, I really, really admire that. And I think the proof is in the pudding that their albums are so inventive and they're so melodic, and they have so much integrity that you've got to go and check them out. The Elephant Six Collective. I'm going to shut up now and let you get on with your day. See you later. Bye for now.